Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Brent Pry, the Virginia Tech Hokies wrap up their spring game Saturday afternoon. Just got a chance to watch this game back. Want to hop on and really give some of my broad takeaways from that Virginia Tech spring game. And if you're a Virginia Tech fan, like this 2024 season is about to be extremely fun. I've kind of hinted over the last couple of weeks and months that this Virginia Tech team truly a dark horse in the ACC, and you're not going to see ESPN or many national news media outlets talk about this program. But I think Virginia Tech fans know this team is going to sneak up on a lot of teams in the ACC in 2024. The vibe that I got from the spring game yesterday afternoon, Brent Pry has this roster, has this culture, has this program right where he wants it going into year three. And you saw some growing pains the first 2 years, but you saw them hit their stride at the end of the year. And I think they're riding that momentum heading into 2024. A ton of returning production coming back to this program. I'm fired up about this team, a team that we're going to talk a lot about in that 2024 year. Before we get into some of my big takeaways, just want to say thank you to you guys. A shout out to the Virginia Tech fans. Y'all always show a ton of support to the boys. Cannot thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Much more importantly, would love to hear some of your feedback and some of your big takeaways from that spring game yesterday afternoon. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to start with the quarterback position and how this offense is going to operate in 2024. Two things that really stood out. One, Kyron Drones looks so much more comfortable running this offense than he did last year at this time. And I think the narrative around Kyron Drones, we said it throughout the 2023 season. This is one of the most talented quarterbacks, not only in the ACC, but in the country, right? Was one of the more sought after quarterbacks coming out of high school. If he puts it together, I mean, this is one of the more dynamic quarterbacks that you'll see in college football. And I think the second thing that stands out is, one, he certainly looks to be the guy and looks really in command of this offense. But I think Virginia Tech has done a phenomenal job catering this offense to what Kyron Drones does really well, right? Tyler Bowen, the offense coordinator for Virginia Tech, giving an offense to Kyron Drones that really fits his skill set. And that's something we talk about a lot in terms of offensive coordinators being able to fundamentally construct an offense that best suits their players' skill sets. And you look at what Virginia Tech is doing on the offensive side of the football, a lot of RPOs, a lot of getting Kyron Drones outside of the pocket, letting him use that athleticism, giving him a lot of run pass options. That's how he is the most dynamic, right? Getting him in space, using his athleticism, a guy that can throw on the run off platform. You want to use Kyron Drones as a truly dynamic quarterback. And I think this Virginia Tech offense heading into 2024 certainly is doing a really good job catering this offense to what Kyron Drones does really well. And in turn, you're seeing Kyron Drones really be comfortable in this Virginia Tech offense. Now, my next takeaway is this rushing attack that was elite last year is going to be very good once again in 2024. And I think it starts with the offensive line. And again, Brent Pry, there was some growing pains in terms of getting the line of scrimmage play where it needed to be. You're seeing those growing pains kind of manifest and they're getting through the growing pains. This is a Virginia Tech offensive line that I think is going to be extremely good in 2024. It's no secret. Virginia Tech wants to run the football. They have a truly dynamic quarterback that can make it happen as well. But not only Kyron Drones making it happen with his own legs, but the mere threat of him being able to pull it and be an athlete is creating a lot more seams for these other Virginia Tech running backs as well. I mean, you saw Malachi Thomas get loose. PJ Prula, a guy that I hadn't really heard of until watching this game yesterday afternoon, was extremely impressive. And I'm kind of looking forward to the ways they get him involved in this offense. You look at the wide receivers and say, hey, we're returning pretty much every single body that we had last year. You continue to get that chemistry with a quarterback like Kyron Drones. I look at this Virginia Tech offense that was choppy at times, but found their rhythm and say, you're going to get better quarterback play from Kyron Drones as he goes into year two leading this offense. This running back room pretty much remains the same. Arguably is going to get better by just a little bit more maturity in that room. You look at the wide receivers, just more chemistry with Kyron Drones. That unit probably improves. And then the offensive line. certainly going to improve. That offensive line looks like a unit that is extremely experienced, which it is. I look at this Virginia Tech offense and say, I'm not sure there's a single unit on this field that got worse from 2023. I think they got better across the board, whether it was from additions, whether it's from guys just going into another year of college football experience. This offense fires me up if I'm a Virginia Tech fan. And then you go to the defensive side of the football, a defense that was very solid last year. And I want to start with the defensive line. Again, another conversation that we've had a lot with this Virginia Tech team, and that was they have to take some strides in the trenches. Brent Pry did a phenomenal job. You look at this defensive line, this front seven going into 2024, obviously Antoine Powell-Ryland, one of the best pure pass rushers that we see, not only in the ACC, but in the country. You're bringing Aeneas Peebles from Duke, who is a phenomenal kid. I think he was one of the better interior defensive line in the country. You saw him flash on Saturday afternoon. You're bringing Kamari Copeland from JUCO, Kevin Gilliam. You look at the inside of that defensive line, and I'm saying that's depth. And that is an extremely important aspect when you're evaluating the defensive line. And I think at times, the first 2 years of Brent Pry's tenure, that depth wasn't there. He took over a roster that needed a lot of work. And they went through some growing pains. But you look on the offense and defensive side of the football along the line of scrimmage and say, this is a team that is deep on both sides, and that's a really good recipe in terms of winning football games in 2024. Y'all know how I feel about Kelly Lawson. I think he's an absolute dog. You go and get Sam Brumfield from Middle Tennessee State. Feel really good about the linebacker room, and again, behind a defensive line that's really good. A lot of creative ways that they can get this front seven involved, and then you go to the back end and say they return a ton of production from a secondary that only allowed 6.4 yards per pass attempt last year. That was top 15 in the country, obviously headlined by guys like Dorian Strong. I was going to call him Jalen Strong, Jalen Stroman, Mansour Delaney. You look at that Virginia Tech secondary, it was elite in 2023, going to be really good in 2024. And I look at this Virginia Tech team and say, yes, Clemson, Miami, Florida State get a lot of that buzz. I look at NC State, Virginia Tech, and Louisville as being teams that are really dangerous in the ACC. This is a strong ACC. It's a deep ACC. And this Virginia Tech team is going to make a lot of noise heading into 2024. I really liked what I saw from this Virginia Tech team. I really like how I feel about this Virginia Tech team. And that's arguably more important coming out of a spring game. You don't want to overanalyze what you see on the field, but the vibes in this Virginia Tech program, the fan base vibes, the vibes that Brent Pry had, there is a lot of buzz around this program. I'm fired up about it. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. Again, a team that's going to be very fun in 2024. The Rock Boys dark horse, if you will. Appreciate you guys rocking with it, and we'll talk to y'all later.